Hello, folks, and good evening. And this is a very special podcast of the Gridiron Power Hour After Hours.
Wow.
Today's topic is athletes and their demons. Now, back to when I told you about athletes and their mental illnesses, I have revealed a bit of myself that I also have a mental illness. But today is athletes and their demons. Some that have risen from their past and make themselves better. Others who cannot shake their past.
Yep.
One of the athletes in point is former NFL linebacker Philip Harris. No.
Yeah, I saw that story because it didn't say who the name was. I didn't click on it.
Yeah.
But if it's a story you're thinking of, that was disturbing.
Yes. It turns out that
I saw that story and I'm thinking, how can somebody go from the highest of highs with the NFL, and that's the big leagues of football,
and the lowest of lows,
and shooting 5 people and then thinking the only way out for you is to take other people out along with you plus yourself?
Well, I can't speak for others, but personally for myself, suicide is never the answer. Folks, like I said before, athletes are people too. They are bound to make mistakes. Some mistakes that can be corrected, and with some help, they can get back to a normal life, a decent life. Without that said help, it's a downfall.
Well, not only that, but I've seen a lot of folks on a podcast on Tuesdays called This Is Actually Happening that deal with things that they have no idea that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And their world changes around them and they don't know why. And then later they finally get the help they need and they are slowly getting back to what a sense of normalcy is. And I know for a lot of people it's hard. I mean, for me, I get both sides. But I also can empathize with people who are dealing with things like this. Because all they're doing is asking for help. This has nothing to do with religion or anything like that. And folks, on this After Hours podcast, let me put a disclaimer and a label here. We normally do not talk about religion on this podcast. We talk about topics, but everybody will twist this around to think, oh, he's talking religion. No, I'm not. This has nothing to do with a religious experience. This has everything to do with the mind.
And as for me, it's a personal experience. Because not all too often, like I said, athletes are people too. And yes, and people do got demons and skeletons that they wish they don't want to come out to the light of day.
Bryce Young, former Iowa State basketball player, had a fear of flying for years. I don't know if you remember seeing this story, where he would not fly anywhere.
This wouldn't have to be somebody who's on the Utah Jazz now, would it? Because
I believe you are correct. He was drafted by the Houston Rockets. Keep in mind, I don't know how he fixed it. I don't know what type of help he got. But for the longest time, he would not get on an airplane to fly for Jack. And I understand his fear. Don't get me wrong. When I get in a vehicle, do I know it's going to be the last time getting in a vehicle? No. When this season starts, when we get on the bus.
Yep.
Could it be our last time on a bus?
Nope.
Or a van? Or at a field on an away trip or our own home field?
No.
Could be. I'm not saying it is, but it's a definite possibility.
Yeah. Another athlete in mind that comes to mind to me was back in 2007. Corey Stringer from the Minnesota Vikings practice squad.
Isn't that the one that got struck down by lightning on that
No.
Saturday at practice and he was at a fence?
No. Corey Stringer died of heat stroke, and he didn't tell nobody he was.
I remember it now.
And he didn't tell nobody that he was vastly dehydrated. He couldn't tell nobody that his body was warning signs that his body was about to shut down.
His body, his organs and kidneys and everything were shutting down.
Yeah.
How many medical shows have I watched over the years where their medical problem is shutting down their organs, their main vital functions of their body?
Now, here's a question I'm going to ask you, to people who are watching this on YouTube. How many athletes or people do you know have inner demons, and then instead of telling you what's wrong with them, they keep it inside until it's too late?
Well, let's take this one step further. Let's take the athlete side out for a second.
Let's make it regular people.
What about just a normal, ordinary pickup, like a pickup kid, like shirts and skins or whatever? And one of your teammates is dealing with a medical issue that could kill them if not properly taken care of. Let's go that route for a second.
Because personally, folks, just like an athlete, they're people too. And you might not notice that they might have signs of something bad physically or mentally is going to happen. They need help.
That people, as somebody said it, and said it apropos and poetically correct, that they may have it together on the outside,
but on the inside, they are a total mess.
They are hurting, and they don't want you to know because they don't want you to feel like you're being the burden. They feel like they can handle it on their own.
Mm-hmm. And it goes back to the last YouTube podcast on here about athletes and mental illness. Like I said, I have that mental illness problem. I went nearly untreated for over 30 years if I didn't get the help I needed. And if I didn't have the support of my family, who knows what would have happened. And I choose not to go that route. People today, you've got to learn. Mental illness is like a demon, but it's also like a superpower. It's all how you use it and turn it around.
Yep.
And like he said before, let's take the athlete part out of the equation. Let's forget they are multi-million-dollar players, wrestlers, fighters.
Let's just take the label.
All of that. And they're regular, ordinary people.
Let's just shed the label of what they are.
They're people.
You're a football player. My goal is to be a broadcaster. But take the labels of what people do out of this. We are normal, ordinary human beings. We're not robots. We're not machines, folks.
For example, take Phil Mickelson, one of the profound golfers of all time. For over 30 years or so, he was battling a physical ailment, arthritis.
About it, in fact.
He was battling with rheumatoid arthritis in both his hands.
Yeah.
That forced him to retire because he wasn't able to hold a golf club.
Wasn't there somebody...
Daniel Bryan, who should have been retiring, he's around the same age as I am. And because he had a neurological problem, according to his wife, Brie Bella, that every time he goes to sleep, he'll have a seizure or wake up having a nightmare.
Ooh. Oh, God, I hate those.
And he has CTE.
I didn't know, like, full detail. Oh, God.
And he has CTE. Sean O'Hare, he could have gotten the help that he needed. He had a drug problem. having to do with prescription medication. After many times that he got injured, everybody tried to help him out, and he didn't want no help. Until at that time in 2008, he was at the end of his rope.
Well, the thing is, like I've said before, and I'll say it again, everybody thinks they have it together, but on the inside they don't, because it's a cry for help.
Chris Candido, another wrestler, he even had more problems than you can shake a stick at, and it is not just a drug problem. It's not just a drug problem. This is also a personal problem. This is one of the things he has hidden for years. And he didn't want nobody to know, not even his own family, for the fear he will be disowned. Chris Candido had committed suicide because apparently the WWE did not know about this, and he never told him. He never told him the fact that he was gay.
But remember, remember what we discussed in one of the other pods.
Yes.
There are consequences for that.
Yes.
It is a ripple effect that will never go away.
No. And people they do say it gets better. You just got to make sure it is better, because you got to have to do it. It all starts with you.
It can get better, but the only way it gets better as John Maxwell, John Gordon, all the other leaders that are talking to people, you have the choice. You got to make the choice. Mm-hmm. Nobody else can make the choice. But you.
And like I brought up a couple of weeks ago, Mike Wallace is another example. Mike Wallace never told nobody that he was having psychological and mental problems until they found him dead in his truck, in his boxers, with taser marks in his thighs, because he killed himself with a taser gun. And what Bennett O'Malley has been saying for years, been telling former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue and current Commissioner Roger Goodell, but they still refuse to listen. CTE does have something to do with football, as well as any other sport, because it is not only a mental problem, it's a psychological and neurological problem.
Yeah, but also what I've heard about CTE is a lot of times they don't really have the technology to diagnose that until they are either older or they're dead.
Yeah.
Because even then, while they're living and while they're young, they won't be able to see anything with CTE.
Nope.
Unless there's somehow or some way technology being developed that can diagnose CTE and the procedures. That'll be a trial run that can fix that.
Yeah. And going back to the podcast from 2 months ago when we brought you the news about the death of former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, former LA Charger, Vincent Jackson.
Oh yeah.
It now.
I still can't forget the day when I looked at it. I'm like, am I reading that right?
Yep. Now, thanks to the medical examiner and the sheriff's department, and thanks to his family donating his brain to CTE research after they cremated him, of course, Vincent Jackson did, in fact, have CTE. For how long he had it remains to be seen.
I wonder how long it's going to take the scientific community to map out timelines for CTE.
If they would have listened to Dr. O'Malley when he first brought this up, people.
That was what, 2012?
No, back up in 2006. More like 15 years ago. He even brought this up to Tagliabue, and Tagliabue didn't listen to him. Because it all started when Mike Wallace's death in 2002.
Are we talking about the former Ole Miss wide receiver?
Mike Wallace from the 1971 Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Steelers. Wasn't that the guy that basically shot himself in his truck or something?
Nah, he actually shot himself with a stun gun in his truck. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, whoa. I mean, look, I'm not condemning anything because death is death. You don't get do-overs there. You don't.
No.
You only get one lap around this thing called life track. You only get one.
Yeah. And according to Dr. Omalu, if the NFL had done it correctly.
Is it Omalu or Omalu?
Omalu.
Okay.
If they had listened to him, like he said, too many headshots, and your brain could resemble that of a 93-year-old nursing home patient with advanced stages of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, somebody got diagnosed with, I think the animal guy, Jack Hanna.
Yes, he got diagnosed with dementia.
Dementia, yeah. But it feels like it's almost the same thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like dementia and Alzheimer's are almost in the same category. It's almost the same thing.
Yep. And folks, it's not just athletes who have demons. Actors, musicians, directors, producers, even cops, lawyers, judges, astronauts, anybody who's a normal human being will have these type of problems too. And let's take recently today that rapper and actor DMX, whose real name is Earl Simmons, had just passed away this morning at the age of 50.
Yep.
And this was after he had went into cardiac arrest and never woken up from the coma.
Because apparently on Wednesday or Thursday, when I was listening to one of the all news networks,
it was Wednesday,
Black Information Network, that said over the weekend that he went into cardiac arrest due to a drug overdose.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think, last Saturday.
And Wednesday he went into.
I saw on Twitter on that Sunday, and then I kept seeing on Twitter that that his family basically said he was making a full recovery.
That was misinformed. He was still in the coma that day.
Or at least they took him off life support and he was breathing on his own.
No, he wasn't breathing at all because it took the doctors 30 minutes to try to resuscitate him with no avail.
Wow.
And to further on that, DMX did have a drug problem back to when he was 14 years old because he admitted it to a reporter that when he was smoking marijuana, he did not realize that the marijuana he was smoking was laced with crack cocaine, which got him hooked. And then back in 1986, during one of his many incarcerations, he said he found God and became a deacon while in prison, then made steps to become an ordained minister like he did.
But as we all know, demons do come back hard.
Yep. Earl Simmons was just 50 years old. 50.
50. Not 60, not 70, not 80, not 35, not 40, 50. He had just reached the half-century mark.
Yes, and he leaves behind a whopping 15 children.
Yeah.
One with his ex-wife and several other with every extramarital affair he had.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so he had one ex-wife and 14 baby mamas.
Too many. I'll say it again. Too many.
Yep.
Now.
And I can tell you one person who is not going to make sure that his daughter doesn't become a statistic, and that's Dwayne Wade. He shut down every naysayer when he and his wife, Gabrielle Union, applaud Zaya from transitioning from male to female, calling herself Zaya, who was formerly Zaire Wade. And people, and basically people like rappers like Little Boosie said, he should be ashamed of himself. He shut them down.
Shut them down.
Just like this. I don't care what you say. My child is my child. I'm going to love my child regardless. Whether he was a boy or a girl. And if you got a problem with it, that's just you.
Now let's go to something that I'm glad somebody had the cones to talk about this on Thursday. On the Robo Bar Unfiltered podcast, talking about the Atlanta mayor Keisha Bottoms basically signing in a bill for those stupid laws in Georgia that's already making a major impact on the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Basically trying to help the folks that are basically dealing with these bigwig jack-offs.
Yep.
In their state.
So already.
Yeah, I'm calling it jack-offs because you should have no business putting that in there in the first place.
So already, Delta, Coca-Cola, just to name a few, has ceased all businesses in the state of Georgia because of this bill.
Yep.
And like I said, what you do physically is going to hurt you, not just mentally, but financially as well.
It's going to hurt everybody in that state.
And speaking of Georgia, there was a former representative, a woman. 2 days ago, she wound up on Dr. Phil.
I wonder why.
Sitting across from her was a transgender woman. After what she said about her own trans child.
Oh, Lord.
She don't like her child. She hope her child die. And needless to say, Twitter don't let into this woman like white on rice. Even brought up the fact that she was pardoned by by you know who, for her part in a car theft ring in 2012.
Here I will make an exception because due to the fact that this is the best thing he actually said all day. This orange-headed baboon actually made sense. What did the orange-headed clown have to say that actually made sense? About this sociopathic human being. Yeah.
He's the one that pardoned this human being.
Oh, please.
After she was trying to go for, let's just say she was going for Raphael Warnock's seat, and she lost.
I hope that wasn't Kelly Loeffler, was it?
No, this was a black woman. Not only was she xenophobic, transphobic, and homophobic, she was just plain toxic.
She was sociopathically toxic. Forget toxic. I was listening to my podcast Manslaughter. There was an episode basically perfectly entitled Sociopath.
She don't need to be a sociopath. She needs to be.
If we took the sociopath test, she would probably get a 40 out of 40 on that thing.
Yep.
The highest score you can get on that 20-question test is 40. Everything being a 2 across the board. That's the highest you can get. But not anybody can get that test.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to take what you just said, and I'm going to expand it further out of all of the athletic spectrum to regular people spectrum. Apparently, back in 2014, in Orlando, Florida, a woman and her aunt were both found dead in her house.
What?
This woman was a 37-year-old sportscaster for the Golf Channel.
What?
Yep. Her name, get ready for this one, Marilyn Thomas.
Who?
Her name was Marilyn. Her name is her name was Marilyn. Her aunt's name was Terry. That's her mom's sister. The person who killed them both was her uncle, and he wound up killing himself. unbeknownst to everybody else, including his own wife and niece,
Dang.
he had a secret of his own dating back to when he was just 13 years old.
He was gay?
No, he was not. He was a psychotic. He was psychopathic.
Oh, Lord.
What he did underneath the trends in 1971 while living in Indiana, of all places,
Oh, no.
while his father was shaving and his mother was in the shower, 8 months pregnant, mind you, with his little baby sister, took his dad's gun, shot the dad once, then shot his mother several times. Went to shoot his older sister, the gun jammed. She knocked him out of it, and then she ran.
Holy.
She had been holding on to that secret for 30 years.
Oh, my God.
But it turns out, between Indiana and Florida, he had killed 2 more people since then.
No, he wasn't. No. Take psychopath out of this. This man was a serial killer.
Yeah, but here's the thing. No, this is why he's on the psychopathic spectrum. He calls his niece his Victoria's Secret. The man, went to his home on the other side of Florida, the one that got hit by Hurricane Ivan, they found in his house monthly subscriptions to Victoria's Secret, medical books on necrophilia,
Hey.
and anatomy, and looked up his computer and found on search with how to kill a person.
He is definitely a psychopathic. He's not a psychopath. He's a narcissist.
Yep. He calls his niece his Victoria's Secret. But what he did in 2014, oh my, it borderlines on crimes against humanity.
That's not just crimes against humanity. This dude is a narcissistic, serial killing sociopath.
After he stabbed his wife 7 times and slashed her throat while she was in the living room,
Oh, God.
he locks the front door, goes upstairs to the niece's room. He stabs her just once in the chest and the heart, and she's dead instantly.
Dang.
And then, folks, this is another disclaimer for what I'm about to say next will make you super squeamish. And if you don't want to hear about it, please mute it. Not only he killed her, he had sex with her corpse and then cut off her head and disemboweled her.
Oh, dog. This is definitely a serial killer's episode. I wish these folks at Parcast is listening to this.
Oh,
They need to get this episode like fast.
oh, this was on this was on ID, and this was on yesterday.
Holy. Oh my. Okay, what show was this?
It was a show called The Mind of a Serial Killer. The Devil Inside Me.
Oh yes, I've heard of that show.
Yeah, the guy's name was Charlie Wright.
Heard of him?
Yeah, his wife's name is Terry.
Mm-hmm.
His niece was the broadcaster on the Golf Channel in Orlando.
Yep, heard of him.
Yeah, she was 37 years old. Not only did he decapitated her and had sex with her corpse, he also disemboweled her by cutting off her breast and taking out her internal organs and throwing them in the trash can next to her bed.
Okay, I think this is a disturbing way to end the podcast.
That's disturbing enough, and that's all I'm saying to it. We don't need nothing else. Like I said, folks, people, athletes and regular people and their demons. If you can get help, you can conquer those demons. If you keep it all inside, you're gonna fall so far off the spectrum. It's not gonna be funny anymore. It's gonna be downright wrong.
Disturbing and disgusting.
Yeah. Because what we just told you was past the lines of disgusting.
That was beyond. That was more like serial killer / evil lives here /
Charles Manson.
Man, Charles Manson would be laughing hysterically at this man.
No, John Wayne Gacy would. And he was a freaking clown for crying out loud.
Speaking of John Wayne Gacy, by the way, if you have Peacock app, there's a 6-part docu on that man.
I already seen it on ID. I seen what he did, and that's not for the faint of heart.
Now, Oxygen has more deep, in-depth plus interviews with himself.
But way before his execution.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's called the Devil in Disguise.
Yep, that'll be it. Now, folks, if you like I say, if you like crime buffs like us, one of the recommended shows I recommend you to watch, and this, by the way, omits the gory details, is a show that's been on ID and TLC for quite some time. It's called I Almost Got Away With It.
Mm-hmm.
Almost in parentheses.
And by the way, it was also on Discovery.
Yep.
Investigation Discovery. There were days where they'd have marathons on just Discovery.
And now these days you can actually catch the episodes on American Heroes channel.
Oh my Lord! Oh yeah, I remember seeing that a couple of times at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
I couldn't sleep.
And one of those episodes details a crime that happened right here in Tennessee, back when I was in high school.
Yeah, I think I remember that episode.
Yeah, a kid down here was selling his SUV. It was golden colored with the rims and everything to a guy from Missouri, from Cape Girardeau of all places. Instead of him paying him the money, he just beat the guy and took the Jeep and left him bleeding on the side of the street. He was in a coma, but he lived while the police in Missouri caught him after he was trying to burn that SUV. Because the SUV was put on TV for all the world and the people in Cape Girardeau, Missouri to see. And because of that, somebody who knew the man led the police to right where he was, at his pregnant baby mama's house.
Hey, idiot. Here's a suggestion for you. Never, under any circumstances, make a pit stop at your baby mama's house, because there's a pretty good opportunity you're going to get caught, which you did.
Yeah, and here's another one. If you want to do, if you like most people say, there is a saying: if you doing prison time, your family does it with you. For this guy from Cleveland, Ohio, it was serious. Not only was he was about 16 years old. He was only going to be locked up for 3 years. 3 years. For a small minor infraction. He would have been out at 19. It said him and a friend of his escaped prison through a medical detail. The only time they'll let him out of prison is they have a dentist appointment. So with the help of the prison guard, his half-brother, his grandmother, and his mother, he got out of prison. That way. He beat up the prison guard, unlocked his shackles, and him and his friend both took off. You want to know why it was so easy for the police to find them both? One of them was still dressed up like the most ugliest woman you ever seen in your life.
What a dope.
You do not make a good woman. Not on a good day.
You look.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised why you got caught dressed so damn black and ugly. Your wig was hanging off the top of your head.
Like, dude.
And who in their right mind would have a woman with muscle-bound shoulders and pecs?
If you're gonna pull that, make sure you get the right wig, dude. Really?
And basically have silicone in your chest.
Or something.
Yeah, or something.
Or something. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. The police also arrested his half brother for giving the man the gun, They fired a prison guard who was sleeping with his mama.
Oh no.
Yeah, she was giving the letters to the guard to give to her son. Because like people, when prisoners, when they get mail, they're gonna be checked. They're gonna be checked for any fluids, bodily or otherwise. They're gonna check them. That's just how the prison system works. She managed to use a prison guard to get her letters to her son without going through getting them checked. And he gives it to him. So not only did the mom get arrested, the grandma got arrested too. The mom served her time. The half brother served his time. And long story short, the dude who thought this would be a good idea, he got another 7 years tacked onto his sentence. And the last time I checked, he's almost 30. It's almost time for him to come out. Folks. Now, and that should have been on America's Dumbest Criminals for a segment. This is too stupid to make up.
Like idiots.
Yeah. Along with a guy who was handcuffed getting beat up by a police officer he calls the Jolly Black Giant. If you've seen America's Dumbest Criminals, you'll find out why. Because he said, and he quote, every time he punches him, he laughs and goes, ho, ho, ho. Yeah, you deserve to be America's Dumbest Criminals because you are a dumb criminal. You is dumb.
You are an idiotic dum-dum.
Duh. Folks, here's an old saying we go for you calling you really, really stupid. You're going to take your arm, you're going to lift it up, you're going to slant your wrist, and you're going to slap it across your chest and go, yeah.
Yep.
You has got my dum-dum of the week. Yeah, you was dumb.
Dumb. Like dumb.
Yeah.
Idiotically dumb.
Yeah. And we see people get off locked up for stupid things worse than that.
But this week, you get it just because we decided to give it to you.
Yep.
If there was anything else, if there was anybody else, you may not have gotten it. But since you were a bunch of idiots.
There was somebody. There was somebody. The stupid thing they got put in jail for, they stole lottery tickets from the gas station.
Oh, no.
And cigarettes. And candy bars.
Oh, you know at some point, because you know all those things have tracking numbers on them. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know the lottery. I know the scratch-off tickets got the trackers on them. That's how the lottery commission keeps up with the tickets. That way they can keep up. They can know if they pop up somewhere, they'll pop up as stolen.
Yep, they will pop up as stolen.
That's why the numbers on the very back of that, the ones that kind of don't scratch, you do scratch out there in that square, it tells you something, folks. Because if you were going to steal scratch-off lottery tickets and then try to play them as you got them somewhere else,
they will find out.
And they will come and get you.
Now, speaking of getting, what are we doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Well, since tomorrow is the meeting, I guess Sean forgot he gonna put it again at 7 a.m.
He did that again?
Yeah.
Sean, I should jump through this computer screen and just pimp slap you. But I'm not.
Dude.
I should, but I'm not.
Dude, you do that, you hurt yourself.
I know.
You will miscalculate.
I know. I'm not. I said I could, but I'm not.
Sean, man. We gotta talk, dude. Right. I know you got some things on your mind, but this is the second time you accidentally scheduled a meeting for us.
7 a.m. when us folks are probably asleep.
Yeah.
Or eating breakfast and getting our morning bagel and coffee.
Or getting up and get ready to go to work, which I am not.
And I'm not either. But I'm hopefully going to at least be asleep. But then again, the only reason I took a nap earlier today, I will not. I will probably.
That's one silly thing most people will do. Yeah, there's silly things to take this out of the spectrum to the silly side of the spectrum, folks. If you do something silly, like the ones we just talked about, like dressing up like a woman, getting out of prison, and stealing lottery tickets, you're gonna be a dum dum.
Oh, and by the way, it still doesn't top the guy looking like a harpoon with the twisted teeth.
No, in that case, his head got caved in.
No, his head didn't get caved in. He got don't put the tea in his face. Got sent backwards, lost his footing, and hit into a whole shelf of stuff and knocked the shelf over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dang, yo.
Yeah.
I hope and pray the store has some insurance on their employees.
Nope.
Because he's going to need
nothing. Yeah. And from that, and please, folks, and Kiko, if you run into a man named Kiko Alonso, please remind him of the stupid things that he did while he was a Dolphin. Everything from going to the wrong side of the sideline to catching a player like a football and running with his hand right between his butt cheeks like football.
When was that?
It's on. Come on, man.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. It also reminds me of the time that Matt Gramatica decided to injure himself after he kicked the field goal. You're an idiot. Ow.
No, it still didn't top the one where they let the ball bounce off and he had to go all the way back to his own 3.
Yep.
Where he had to throw where they basically made the quarterback throw 197 yards.
Or the 93-yard fumble recovery.
Oh my God.
Oh, wait a minute. There was something closer to that one. And this one beat it.
It didn't beat it, but it came.
It just did. It beat it by 2 yards. 3rd and 99.
That was a 95-yarder?
It was from their opponent's 1 yard line, went back all the way to their own 1 yard line.
That was 98 yards.
No, 99.
No, 98, because 1 more yard would have been in the end zone, then it would have been 99.
It was on the 1 year. Yeah, they like we said before, folks. You do something really stupid, you're gonna hear about it. And at University of Oklahoma, I'm saying this with all sincerity. Please retire the Sooner Schooner. You don't need no more cheerleaders getting hurt on that thing. That thing done got tipped over and is dragging cheerleaders trying to hang on for dear life by their ankles.
I still remember when that poor girl fell off the thing.
Oh.
She literally fell off the thing. The thing tipped over, and it took about a minute and a half to 2 minutes to get that wagon back up. And all the horses back in line.
And here's a few funny honorable mentions. One of them happens to be a player from the University of Arizona. Dude, if you want to try to slide into the reporter's DMs, please take her out for a dinner and a movie first. Don't do it on national television and tackle her in the end zone, then ask for a number.
Dude, no. You don't do that. That's like if I could, I'd revoke his man card.
Nah, he did it. He became a player. Well, not as much a player as Nick Foles was. And Nick Foles was a player for a different reason. Let's just say, if you ladies can guess what I mean, you're going to be doing a crowd crawl backwards to get away from the guy. And Carter Barnes said he's got the biggest one in the locker room. And it's nuts. And geez, that I wonder why his wife has 5 kids by this man.
Keep in mind the nutsack's attached to it.
Dun 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 dun. And mind you, his wife's got 5 kids with this man. 5. She should have had a hysterectomy and he should have had a vasectomy.
This man
It's Nick Foles. Nick Foles, baby.
This man makes Genghis Khan look normal.
Genghis Khan. It made him look like a Pokemon. Genghis Khan.
No, he made Genghis Khan, Magellan, Christopher Columbus, and everybody else in history look puny.
I guess he's the white present day version of Attila the Hun, minus the battle axe, because it's right between his legs.
Attila the Hun, the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk, and every other evil perceived villain ever. The most evil perceived villain ever. Of course.
Yes. And yeah, all you football players who are getting ready, the pro football players who are getting ready for the draft, mind you, please choose wisely. Choose somebody who won. Won't act like Marshall Newhouse to try to pick up the ball and run with it and did he get himself flipped over. Do not act like Mark Sanchez and do the butt fumble for all eternity.
Please do not become Nick Foles and look like Attila the Hun or any other nerd. And please do not act like Derrick Henry and stiff arm somebody in the middle of next year. Wait, what? Hold on. Derrick Henry did what?
Remember that Josh Norman? He still thought him like he got kicked out of the club. He still thought Josh Norman to the middle of next year.
And basically like the Mortal Kombat guy.
Your soul is mine. And this will make Shang Tsung run away.
And he made Sub-Zero look like he was dropping raindrops and not ice.
It looks like he made Scorpion look like he was popping firecrackers and not throwing fire out of his hands.
That he makes Sonya Blade's Cortana and every other Mortal Kombat character look normal.
Nah, he makes Gore and Shiva look like they have 2 arms instead of 4.
Derrick Henry makes Johnny Cage look like that pathetic excuse of a spin kick wouldn't even actually kill someone.
Yeah, speaking of Mortal Kombat, folks, if you are a Mortal Kombat fan, please, for all the love and purposes, if you go onto the Dorkly YouTube channel, you'll see all the funny parody Mortal Kombats there are, including Johnny Cage, gay porn star. Because what he was doing was wrong. And I think the worst was, give me a welding torch and some dental bone. I got some work to do.
Oh, if you
Yeah. Or of course, the famous Sonya Blade fatality. Fatality. No, you mean fatality? No, fatality. You made a fetus. It made Shang Tsung kill himself. It made Scorpion throw up and sit in a corner and cry. And it made Ed Boon's toasty character say, "Oh, that is effed up, Sonya." I know.
Wait a minute. Wait. Okay, now I'm confused.
There was a.
You're gonna have to help me on this one.
Okay.
I don't remember Sonya Blade ever getting hooked up with some evil dude.
No. Instead of a fatality, she did a fetality, as in she made a fetus.
Oh.
She don't resorted a reptile into a fetus. And Scorpion slipped on him and killed him.
Scorpion said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I must destroy you now." Rip.
Shang Tsung killed himself.
What did he jump in that pit of spikes?
No, he stabbed himself and his soul went gone.
And Raven said, "You are now in the land of lost souls."
And Ed Boon said, "Oh, that is fucked up, Sonya." I know. And of course, the ever popular Sub-Zero Dizzy Spear.
And Shiva and all them other female nerds on Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
Nothing.
Yep. Oh, there's some. There's the ever popular Sub-Zero Dizzy spell where he's just walking around going, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." like he's dizzy. Like they don't put him on the tilt-a-whirl and he ain't thrown up yet.
What game did they add that bit of spike that you can drop your opponent into for stolen or a fatality?
That would be Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to think, was there a particular game, because I don't ever remember that pit of spikes in the first couple. Because in the first one,
it was MK2.
Okay, I knew it was somewhere because I used to play the game.
Yeah, and I had to. But of course, there's the ever popular fatalities of Mortal Kombat. You know, fatalities that work. These are fatalities that don't.
That didn't work.
Yeah, including Jax trying to rip Shiva's arms off, and she ripped both of his off instead.
And you know why they don't? You know why most of those don't work anyway? They have too many buttons you have to press just to get it to work.
Yep.
That's why most of them don't work.
Yep. And of course, and there's another fatality when Shiva got her just desserts and Payback's a bitch. After Kano puffs her up in the air, Jax pushes him out the way, grabs her, punches her so many times, then go boom, 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 boom. Judo flips her so many times, then kicks her out off the dang platform into the pit. Then Kano trying to do his little weak ass laser power and hit him. Jax was chasing his ass, and he acted like the Three Stooges go, woo, woo, woo. He said, come here, you bitch. Then, of course, there is a funny fatality that I seen that was so wrong that by the light of me, it's still funny as hell to this day.
By the way,
if you
have to say it's funny, and you say it's so wrong, but yet it's funny, apparently it wasn't, because it was actually entertaining.
It is. It involves Shao Kahn, Scorpion, and a Scorpion doll.
What?
Yeah, Scorpion accidentally ripped Shao Kahn's pants clean off.
What did he do after that?
And afterwards, he trying to give him a doll.
What did he do? Throw fire and smoke up his backside?
Yeah, he gonna took that dog and shove it up Scorpion's backside. That dog's up where the sun don't shine. That dog ain't clean no more. And then it's something that happened. Then there's another one. It involves Jade's staff, and Sub-Zero.
Wait. Now, okay, what is Jade doing in this?
This is when Sub-Zero was frozen in midair.
Oh.
Jade saw him bent over in midair. She had an idea. She took herself, and let's just say he became a human popsicle afterwards.
He's the weasel. That was all it was.
Pop got your butt hole.
Until he got killed.
He didn't get killed. He got turned into a human popsicle.
Ladies and gentlemen, the other edition of the Mortal Kombat Frozen Popsicle. Not available at your local stores.
Yeah. Then, believe it or not, folks, there was even a time when there was a secret way in Mortal Kombat 2. It was an Easter egg. It's other characters besides Liu Kang turning into animals.
All right, you think it's a good time to clear here, or are we done for this episode? We actually didn't get kicked off this week.
Nope.
Yay. Surprising.
Yep. But let's just say this for the record: Curtis Stryker turning into a dinosaur and then stomping a mud hole into Melina's behind was by far the most hilarious thing I ever seen in my life.
No, Melina was cool.
No, Melina ran screaming after Curtis Stryker turned himself into a dinosaur, roared, and chased right after her.
And he's like, now I will crush her.
And
And he's like, now I shall crush everyone in my path, starting with her. Roar.
Yeah. Now, yeah, and this is the last one. But believe it or not, there was one fatality that was completely funny. It's like toilet humor. let's just say that if you let Katana kiss you and you really have to go to the bathroom, folks, please do so before she do it. Because when she does that and you have to go to the bathroom, chances are you're going to kill her with a butt full of shit. It's the holy shit.
Okay. On that note, we're done.
We're done for today. And join us tomorrow on the Inside and Nightmares All Access.
Nightmares All Access.
Well, I'll give you a little taste of what is going to be coming for this Nightmare season as we count down to May 29th. Until then, keep your hands clean. That's the social distancing. Wear your mask. Even if the mandate is gone, get the shot.
Which I just did yesterday.
And by all accounts, folks, if you watch Mortal Kombat Fatalities, please lock yourself into your plots. Because in a world that's so messed up, we still need laughter right now.
And please, by the way, if you have suggestions and topics that you would like for us to yak about on our beloved and talented Nightmares After Hours podcast edition spectacular, you can leave it in the comments. Find me on Twitter at king_TSB. Josh, where can they find you on Twitter?
Jocelyn Fitz R1 at twitter.com, or you can hit me up on my Facebook /Jocelyn MMA.
And pretty soon, this podcast will also have its own Twitter handle. More on that later.
Until then,
now, if you have suggestions for this podcast only on Fridays at either 9 or 10 o'clock, depending on when we decide to do it.
Please, folks, comment on my Facebook.
Shoot us ideas, shoot us suggestions, and we're more than happy to yak about them on Friday.
Yes.
If you have questions and comments for us, please, by all means, please feel free to do so as well. We'll answer those as well.
And, folks, here's just a friendly reminder. 9 times out of these, our podcasts on YouTube are restricted, and especially if it's for Patreon account holders. So go on to Patreon, subscribe to my Patreon account, to my Patreon channel. You even watch this stuff on YouTube, because it'll be published on YouTube mostly every single Friday.
Yep. Now, what is it? Is it Nightmares After Hours on Patreon? For those
It'll be Nightmares After Hours on Facebook, courtesy of Patreon.
And the Nightmares All Access will also start that up. I believe we start that tomorrow. And I believe
on Facebook Live. And on Facebook Live, it's Everything Goes.
Well,
mostly at this point.
Nightmares All Access show with football.
Yeah, and mostly at this point, we'll talk about anything and everything. Besides men and women's football, we can talk about anything else. Because if you watch our Facebook Live, believe it or not, we'll have fun there too. So until next time.
With this podcast, and tomorrow after the NWFL meeting, we will have the unveiled Nightmares All Access. No more Nightmares Power Hour. I have officially thought of changing the name for it for a while because it probably does not ring with, vice versa. So we'll just call it Nightmares All Access, and we'll just go from there.
Yep.
See you, people.
We'll see you folks tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye, children.
And good night.